Okay.
Hello, everyone. Oh, it's so nice to be with you here today for our Rainbow Inspirations, highlighting people in our community who are influential in some way and that we can lift up to help inspire all of us. And today I get to know Jane Kniffin a little bit better, which I'm really excited about because we've spent some time chatting over the past 24 hours, and she's very interesting. I hope our relationship will continue to deepen, Jane.
That would be
And
beautiful. You're a lovely person, Rebecca.
oh, well, sometimes fate works in interesting ways, and I did not choose to do today's episode, but it was just scheduling and timing. And so when Jane and I met, it was like, wow, we're part of the same team, the same tribe in some way. And you can tell when that's happening when early in the conversation people get real with one another. And as we were saying, what should be in your name here? She said, well, I said, how about community advocate? And she was like, and there was this whole process about who are we and how do we define ourselves in our roles. And so, Jane, tell everyone more about how you do and don't define yourself as a community advocate.
Well, I just feel like I'm sort of an everyday person and I'm just doing what I do. I just live this way. I don't go out and set up meetings or anything. But advocating has just become part of who I am. So I advocate any place, in the elevator, in the mailroom, in the locker room, at the lunch table, in a public meeting. It doesn't matter. I'm always ready to advocate for something, whatever it is. And
Like, so
go ahead.
give us an example. Like, what does advocacy in the elevator look like? Yeah.
Well, somebody might say something like, I'm really getting sick and tired of hearing everybody complain about XYZ. And I might say, well, I know some people who are having that problem. And then
So
you see what people say. What do they say then?
they go, hmm.
Or, well, I don't want to hear it. Or, really? I don't know anybody who's having that problem. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter who I am.
Yeah, wow. Think about that, like of each of us, how we're wired and what's our innate response to circumstances. Is it to stand up and say something, or is it to maybe be silent? And those are some of our choices. So it almost sounds like you're alluding to that advocacy is to say something in those moments.
I had to learn that. I had to train myself. I had to sort of talk myself into standing up and speaking up.
Wow.
Standing up and speaking up. I used to be terrified of doing that in meetings when I thought something needed to be said. And I'd look around hoping that somebody would say what I was thinking. And I, sort of had to take that risk and do it. And um, nope. Then once you start, then you think about how you could have done it better. And then you think about what else you could have said. And you think about, and then you do it some more. And then you get better at it. Then you keep practicing and you keep practicing and you keep practicing. And then pretty soon, now it's just part of who I am.
So would you say your voice doesn't shake anymore when you speak up?
No, I wouldn't
Wow.
say that.
Oh, no, you wouldn't say that. Yeah.
No,
I was going to
no,
say
I
that.
wouldn't
Yeah.
say that. It kind of depends on circumstances. If I'm anticipating I'm going to get some pushback, you
Mhm.
know, I feel those butterflies in there. I feel the anxiety and maybe more careful about what I say and choose my words more carefully. And because I want to keep the conversation going.
Ah,
I want to keep the conversation going. And I think here where I live, I may have a target on my back. I may have a little bit of a, reputation here. But, um, but I, I'm, I want to keep the conversation going.
so I think that's when you say that, I'm making a note to myself, like, that's something I need to remember. Like, we wanna keep the conversation going, and how do we speak in such a way that will do that? So, like, okay, this is gonna have to go on my wall. Keep the conversation going. I see somebody commented, I'll put it on the screen. It was Butch. She advocated with me in the elevator. To know Jane is to know to be touched by some advocacy. Tell me what it looks like right now. So you live at the Givens Estate
Yes.
in Asheville, which is really cool. What does advocacy look like in the community where you're at right now?
Well, Givens Estate, we're, of course, a very privileged lot here. We live in a very safe and secure community. Sort of, I call it the bubble. I moved here because I wanted to live in a safe and secure community as I aged.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know that I'd be taken care of in the ways that I want to be taken care of.
Yeah.
So advocacy here, the first thing I advocated for were, shortly after I moved in, I swim laps and I was in the locker room a lot, meeting a lot of people, watching a lot of people, and noticed that a lot of people with walkers and canes struggled to get into the locker room. And I'm like, why don't we have push button doors? Hello?
We're not getting any younger here.
Handicap accessible, how can this be? Well, we got them, but it took 2 years.
Great. That's a great example. And then how about in the terms of LGBTQ kind of awareness, raising that level at the Givens Estates? Like what is that like for you? What's your role?
Well, first of all, we have a group we call LGBT Secure, and that started in September of 2019, I think. Yeah, we're 2 years old, and we're probably 75% allies.
Wow.
We have family member allies, and we have friend allies, and so we're a lot of allies. We have the administration here, and I think the Givens Estates communities is very proactive about making a welcoming LGBTQ people. We don't say Q here.
Yeah, you don't use the Q. Okay.
Not loud. Too many people associate queer with something terrible that happened, back when it happened. So I got, early on, I got invited to host a program. Givens did some training with staff and the residents about welcoming. Then I got invited by your friend Ed Hillman to co-host a program about LGBT Christians.
Wow, great.
And I'm like, faint. I wasn't really considering still calling myself a Christian at that point, but I thought I could represent that point of view. So I came out to the community then.
Wow.
I mean, there I am. Hello, I'm your local lesbian. And then talk about those moments. So then later on, I was asked to be part of the leadership. And I said, yes, I would, if I had 2 other co-leaders, one from each of the ally groups.
Great.
And I lobbied them. I lobbied those people, and we've made a great team. So I'm in the position of, so we write letters that are published in our campus newsletter. We send out flyers. We have a flyer in the new resident orientation packet. We have hosted, I believe, 4 public programs. The most recent was with Allison Scott from the Campaign for Southern Equality, talking about non-discrimination issues. Wow. But the thing that I really like doing is encouraging people to step up. So
yeah, like your 2 co-leads, yeah.
Well, and we have this library project happening, and I've got 2 people working on it now who didn't exactly volunteer. But that's what I love. I want more people involved. We had a panel of allies in June that was, well, we had it actually, anyway. We had it, yes, in June. It was during Pride Month. It was a co-program with our resident council.
Wow.
And 3 of our allies told their stories of how they became allies.
Wow.
Oh, it was so powerful and so wonderful. And that's what I want to see. I want to see people stepping up and talking and just being themselves, being their own wonderful, special, unique selves. And uh,
Mhm.
I think that's just the best thing.
I'm just taking that in, and we're here talking about your story, and you're talking about your experience with empowering other people to tell their stories and be really genuine, and just it just creates a different energy in a space when people can just really get real, and sharing how they became allies. I've never quite thought about that
Mhm,
pathway to opening a door of understanding.
mhm.
So yay givens that you're there and that you've partnered with so many to lift others up so that they can be a part of the change that
Yes.
they want to see. I guess my mind is floating to a question. So, this is this is related to aging, this show, Rainbow Inspirations. And so for others who might be planning ahead wisely like you did about their long-term supports and services, what do they need as they age? What are some things that you think people should think about in terms of creating a safe community or entering a safe community? What are some signs they should look for? Do you have any advice in that area?
For a safe community, well,
For,
that's,
I guess what we got to say, welcoming, right? It's not we can't
are
necessarily
you
use.
are you referring to like I did moving into a community?
Yeah, yeah, moving into a community, or I guess in bringing services and supports to the home, if that's what one chooses to do.
Right. So yeah, root out the homophobia. So yeah, that has to be sort of an open conversation.
Yeah.
How welcoming is this community, and um, are you if you contract with a home health agency, are you providing services to trans people? You know, those are important questions to ask. Those are can be scary questions to ask because you don't always like the answers. So you do want that. So givens, I didn't even give it any consideration when I moved here.
Huh.
I'm so used to living in the straight world that I just didn't think about it. And so it was quite a pleasant surprise when I moved here and found out that they had recently had started this initiative. Um, so I think it's a good thing for Givens. The
Yeah.
Givens has done that. But like the Episcopal Church, where I used to do advocacy back when they were welcoming, but not really, I say the words and the actions have to match. But
This
lots of
is like
nice words, lots of nice pictures. But do the words and actions match? Well, you're not going to know that till you try it out, are you?
so ask the tough questions.
Yeah.
And, monitor is what you see, what you're really getting. And
Yes.
like you said, do the words and actions match are
Congruent.
really good. And then there's also like I'm hearing from you that like you have been a part of the change too. I mean, yay, you went to Givens and they were already working on being welcoming and creating this sense of a welcoming space, and then you got to participate in that. But if somebody enters a space and say it's not already welcoming, I mean, it seems like there's opportunities to open that doorway and create more safety. You've provided some of those examples, by working with the leadership, speaking up. Is there anything else you would say to folks just about kind of opening in that space if they find themselves living or having services that aren't feeling inclusive? And I know I'm putting you on the spot, so if you don't have
Probably
to.
don't know because that's not my experience. Although all we have to do is think about our experience in the world and the challenges that we meet here and there, and how do we navigate those. We have to learn how to navigate. We learn how to navigate those challenges, and they give us skills to navigate the new challenges. It'd be good to hear from someone who has a different experience from mine about what that's like.
Wow, yeah. So I invite people who are with us today, if there's something that you feel called to share, that's what the comments are there. And we have a real lot of really nice comments. Like I'll just post a few of them. You gave a new meaning to the phrase, "What's your elevator speech?" And you mentioned Allison presenting. at one of the so she's here with us too. So I invite others if you have a thought about like another experience and wisdom to share here. We're all about inviting that wisdom to emerge.
Mhm.
Um, we do have a question, and I'll play that. I'll put that up. Do all the allies live at Givens? Do straight people belong too?
Yes, all the allies live here at Givens. We are a Givens community, and allies, by nature of being allies, are straight.
Mhm, mhm. So that both are true. That
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you for that question, Gretchen, and I want everyone to feel comfortable asking those questions because it's hard to know the questions to ask sometimes if when we're a straight person having a conversation and you wanna feel empowered to open up the doorways. So those questions are important for all of us.
I would say that here at Givens, there are probably plenty of allies who are family members who fly under the radar. They are not open about having family members that are gay or lesbian. Um, it's a lifetime habit. And so we still have people kind of inching into our door who go, oh, well, I have a gay son.
Can
And then,
I come in? Yeah.
am I
Yeah.
going to be welcome here? And yeah, yeah. So the more out we are in our activities, the more other people feel empowered, safe. Really, safe is the word. Our mission statement includes safe and welcoming
Mm,
environment.
great. We're getting some more questions, and I'm going to put them up. But I want to. I'm so curious about your history, her story, and like when did you first notice? Like, because you mentioned that you are a bit of an introvert. Um, so speaking up isn't the easiest thing for you. When did that energy first come forward, and you realized, like, hey, I'm an advocate.
Well, probably in high school when I made myself unpopular, standing up in front of mine and noticing the reaction.
What
So
did you stand up about in high school?
I didn't appreciate people gossiping about my friend when she wasn't there.
Mm.
Not popular in high school at all. Nope. So, but I was weird in other ways too, you know, it was. Um, so I was a school teacher. I advocated for my students. I was a physical therapist for 30 years,
Physical therapist.
and I worked with really sick people. And my specialty was pulmonary medicine. And weird again, not many of us around. And I did a lot of advocating for my patients in the hospital. So that was a lot of one-on-one advocacy. Um, but also when I was working, and I did a lot of ICU work, and I realized that I felt like I had a calling
Mm.
to work with these very, very sick people and to stand by them and help them, you know, roll over in bed, sit up on the side of the bed, the simplest things. What is it that you want to be able to do? I would ask them. And then I would do it. And well, I wasn't following the rules about how I was supposed to use my time. So, you know, I had to get creative about how I wrote my notes. And, you know, so we get paid for by insurance. Whoops.
Mhm.
So, but I realized that I had a calling. My work with sick people was a calling. It wasn't just work. And I think I have carried that forward in my life to whatever advocacy work I'm doing. I feel called to do this.
Got it. Yeah, just letting that resonate. It's like when you feel called, there's a distinction there between feeling like work and it feeling like a calling.
And so, because I feel called to the work, I do things that I might not otherwise do. I step up when
Yeah.
I would rather somebody else did.
Okay. It's like you kind of remind me of like some spiritual leaders that I know when I hear you say that. And it makes me wonder about your spirituality and the relationship between the calling that comes forward in you.
Yeah, when I first felt a calling. I'm an Episcopalian, so I'd look to the church because it's where you have callings, right? At church. Well, that's all I knew about. But that wasn't for me. And so I had to sort of patch together my own spirituality. So it is a patchwork of Buddhism and Quakerism and Tao Te Ching and Hindu and, probably lots of other things that I can't think of right now. So it's sort of a patchwork of things. So being present.
Yeah.
Being present. I have a friend who says, if you have one foot in the past and one foot in the present, you're 1 foot in the past, 1 foot in the future, you're pissing on the present.
Ha,
I like that. So trying to be present, listening is high value. Having dialogue, not debate. These are, for me, are all spiritual values.
I could use that dialogue, not debate one. Especially
I don't have to be right.
I could use that one too.
Wow.
Wow.
These are hard.
They're a practice, right? Let's just be
Yes.
real about it. It's not a destination. Yeah.
So I have this little sticker here on my computer. Thich Nhat Hanh says, practice makes it real. Yes.
Right.
Practice makes it real.
Yum. That feels good to receive. Someone mentioned here, Nancy said, ask about books. And I don't know if that's books you're reading, books you're writing. Tell us
Nancy's
more.
one of my library people. That's our library project here.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So talk to us about books.
Oh, we have a shelf in the library, which we're getting set up. And Nancy and I went shopping at Mr. K's one day and had a great time. We found a whole bunch of used books that we bought and brought home and stuck on the library shelf. So we're getting organized about that.
And is it about a special type of book that you're advocating for?
It says LGBT on our shelf. LGBT books. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Wow. This is like a legacy that you have participated. You've co-opted. I know you're working with others. It's not you alone, but that you and Nancy and others that are working together to really just change the whole way people think around inclusion.
Well, we're providing opportunities.
Yeah.
I don't believe that we have the power to change the way anyone thinks. We just can provide them opportunities to look through a different lens, to think differently, to see what's in there. What's in your heart about this? Can you approach this question from your heart rather than from your mind? Use your mind to figure out what to do with what's in your heart.
There's another good one. Use your mind to figure out what to do with what's in your heart. If I was quick enough, I'd type these down and put them on the screen, but I'm just too much enjoying taking that in. We have some other questions, and we're getting towards the last 6 or so minutes. I know, I told you it'd go fast. And this again goes back to aging. What do you see as the needs for the aging LGBT community? That's a big question. There's a lot of subsets to that community. What comes up for you?
Well, primarily I would say services, because services and safe housing, because I do believe that a lot of LGBTQ seniors don't have a lot of resources, perhaps financial resources. And so that's pretty scary when you're facing a downhill slope and your home may not be safe and you don't have the resources to make it safe. You don't have family members who can help you. And there's a lot of isolation. So resources, I think, are really important. And Gibbons has a community here called Gerber Village, Gerber Park.
One of those, yeah.
And so there's HUD finance, lower income housing there. And Gibbons itself was started with HUD money. The first buildings here were started with HUD money. built.
So a lot of people don't know about resources that are already there. There's that kind
Mhm.
of category. There's
Yes.
just sharing the information and helping the resources to be empowering them to know what welcoming looks like. Perhaps there's
Mhm.
that component, it sounds like. And then there's also like maybe like let's vision for a minute. Wouldn't it be cool if there were an LGBT residence, long-term care residence, or, when you say safe housing is a big need, it's like, what could that look like in our
Safe
community?
housing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So downtown, when the Battery Park Hotel was converted to senior
Mhm.
apartments, so there were seniors of all kinds who needed lower income housing.
Mhm.
Those were LGBT people, and some of
Mhm.
them were not. I
Mhm.
think that's ideal. I
It's
like.
enter everybody together.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's good to hear. Yeah, because I've
Mhm.
definitely heard of the model of having it be like LGBT and
Mhm.
specific, but you feel like having everyone, having an opportunity for people to live together with different lifestyles and
Mhm.
beliefs is even more ideal.
I believe in healthy communities.
Yeah.
Community advocacy is about building healthy communities, and that means that everyone has access to the same resources. We don't have us and them. We don't compete for resources. We work together so that everyone has access to the same resources. And our culture is a binary culture. It's us against them, right and wrong, good, bad. I got mine, you get yours kind of attitude. And I think that healthy communities don't work that way. Healthy
Mhm.
communities, we get to know each other and we work together so that everyone has access to the resources.
Mhm. Mhm. It reminds me of discussion versus debate.
Mm-hmm.
And that being a similar it's like a practice that to get out of the way, our own way, and thinking of in binary terms, because I know I have that kind of automatic reaction to things.
We're raised that way. This is our culture. And we look at a lot of things through old lenses, so we have to put on new lenses in order to see what's happening in the present.
Where
Well,
can I get some lenses like that?
you do lens practice.
Oh.
But so for I think it's just like observing, noticing. Look around you. Notice who's there. Notice how they struggle. Notice how they succeed. Notice. We have to notice. We have to listen. To really listen to people and what they say, not just go Oh wow,
Mm.
really? Z, amazing. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, we have to have a real conversation. Banana.
Oh my gosh, I'm just taking that in. There's so much to do. There's so much to be. Not really, but I mean, not I know not. It's all about being present and listening. And there's like a lot of society is doing what you just did. And so how we be, in an environment is an opportunity.
Yes.
And I'm getting present to that now.
It all starts right here. You have to
Yeah.
do your own internal work, and then it just leaks out of you. That good heart, it just leaks out.
Well, we have a couple more comments here that I want to make sure not to miss before we go. Okay. Well, there's some, high fives like love the phrase words and actions have to match. And then we had Nancy with a books. And this is kind of a longer comment and small. So I'll see if I can read it here. My wife and I are looking at moving to a CCRC, and for any of the places we go to, we specifically ask how many gay and lesbian people live here, and also to speak to someone who is willing to talk to us. And their response to our question and request has been both telling, but also in some way, small way, advocating. This is how we met Jane. Oh, it's a story.
Mhm.
Cool.
It was
Thank you,
wonderful.
Judith.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity for me.
Huh.
Wow. Woo-hoo.
Yeah, you're feeling the touched.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
And then let's see, we haven't. I'm going to mention your work to the folks here at our CCRC. Maybe we can replicate in some way.
Where are they?
So this is one of my team members, Gretchen, and she lives at the Deerfield Retirement
Oh, you live
Community.
across the way. I was
Yeah,
on their list for, I was on their list too.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and then, oh, and here's another. I plan to do the same at Carolina Village. You're reminding, and Bob is one of our team members also, so that's really cool, and he works with us on the whole Rainbow Inspirations project. Just one more comment here before we get towards
I
adios.
can't.
Yeah, thank you. Wow. Well, it sounds like those with us today, including myself, I'm here with us today, benefited and received something in your sharing, Jane. And I want to thank you for your vulnerable, authentic sharing with all of us.
Well, you've made it easy for me, Rebecca, and I thank you. And thanks for inviting me. Appreciate
Yay. Well, I'm so glad we did. And, you got that cold call from us and just said, Sure, I'll do it." Um, and so there's this power in storytelling, and I have to mention this. And there's a power in the listening, and there's a power in the sharing. It's come up a few times today. Generations Plus, part of Blue Ridge Pride, is engaged in a storytelling project. And so I'm going to ask Butch to put that link into the comment section because I think it's just a really great opportunity to tell the story, have it be archived. We're working on a few other opportunities for to lift up the stories of people in our community. So whether you do it quietly or you do it out loud, whatever way, let's tell our stories and learn from each other. Okay. Well, we'll say adieu for now. We'll say bye bye, everybody. And we'll see you next
it.
month. Bye. We'll see you next month, the first
Bye.
Wednesday.